to a wrap of news from RNZ's Rural News Desk, starting with some hefty jumps in profit for the sector. New Zealand's largest apple exporter says stronger sales and higher prices are behind its bumper crop of figures. Scales Corporation's net profit for the 2025 financial year was $117.7 million, a 137% lift on the year before. Managing Director Andy Borland says the company's horticulture arm, Mr Apple, had an exceptional year.
Particularly in Asia, that's where we bred the apples, the red sweet apples, Dazzle and Posy, to target that market, and they've been selling at very good prices. And Dazzle in particular yields very well in the orchard, so it's a high contributor of strong profit per hectare.
And state-owned farming enterprise Pāmu is also riding a wave of high commodity prices. It's reported a 53% increase in its after-tax profit for the 6 months to December to $95 million, up $33 million on the same period last year. Pāmu's chief executive, Mark Leslie, says increased production is also behind the rise.
That's the positive piece really for me. It's the productivity part of it. And that's, as I've said to the team, that then gives us the opportunity to get the real benefits of the livestock prices and the meat prices we're seeing. So control the controllables, and that's what the teams have done in terms of the productivity and performance.
Mark Leslie says the outlook remains very strong, with profits expected to continue in the near term.
While farmers are making much healthier profits this season thanks to higher red meat and dairy prices, it seems many are being pragmatic with their money. The chief executive of the Waikato Chamber of Commerce, Don Good, says they're using their extra cash to service debt and pay for upgrades and maintenance on farm.
The Waikato economy is actually has been taking off for some time. The money is coming in certainly through the farming sector. But equally we're seeing manufacturing pick up. Order books have lengthened, and there's a little bit of quiet confidence that this year could see a recovery. But everyone was thinking that in 2025, so we're actually waiting to see it actually hit the bank accounts.
Mr Good says while some farmers might be cautious to spend, at a recent boat show in Hamilton, companies didn't struggle to sell boats worth $300,000. He says retail and hospitality businesses that have survived the last few years are starting to feel things pick up. PGG Wrightson says its sales are buoyant, with farmers spending on irrigation, animal health products and seed. The company's reported a net profit of $17.3 million for the 6 months to the end of December. That's an 8% lift on the same period the year before.
The Energy Efficiency and Conservation Authority has announced the first of 40 farms it's partnered with to install solar energy systems and batteries. Over $2 million is helping subsidise solar set-up costs for farmers and growers. Group Manager Richard Briggs says there's been huge interest in the scheme, with more than 250 applications.
We deliberately went into this to have it as broad as possible. So there's 10 farm types. We've got dairy farms and beef and sheep farms and horticulture, piggeries, and also a good geographical spread around the country. So there's places that obviously have high sun and low sun, and just trying to get as much diversity as possible so that we can give the broadest opportunity for confidence that they can then replicate the findings.
Early modelling suggests if 30% of Kiwi farms installed larger solar systems, they could generate as much as 10% of New Zealand's current electricity demand.
Pig farmers have renewed calls for the government to enforce New Zealand's animal welfare standards on imported pork. A group of farmers, calling themselves Fair for Farmers, have written to the government calling for change, saying products that would be illegal to produce on New Zealand farms are routinely sold here. Walt Cavendish, who is about to transition from dairy farming to free-range pork farming, signed the letter.
We made quite a clear decision as a country that animal welfare matters, and we seem to have gone down the road of insisting on that for our farmers, but not insisting on that for our imports. And that's where the differences come for these farming families. They're trying to compete with product that just would not be allowed to be farmed here.
More than 63% of the pork consumed in New Zealand is imported, and some of the countries sending pork here still use sow stalls, which New Zealand has banned.
And finally, it's the fishing competition with no fishing. For the first time in Rakaia fishing competition's 40-plus years, no fish will be weighed in, due to woefully low numbers of salmon in the Rakaia River. Instead, there's a lucky draw for the 400 or so people who entered the competition anyway. Organiser Chris Agnew's hoping it will encourage fish to come back and spawn in the river.
Yeah, it was a tough call to make because, that's what the thing is about, is trying to catch the biggest fish, The most sensible thing we could come up with that gives our competitors a chance to come and enjoy the competition or enjoy the camaraderie and out on the river if they want to go, but also to protect what fish are left coming back into the river and give them half a chance at spawning up the top.
The Salmon Anglers Association says intensive dairy farming and large irrigation takes are impacting river flow and its ecosystems. A NIWA report found changes in ocean conditions are a likely cause. And that's a roundup of news from RNZ's Rural News Desk.